Welcome to Soul Stories, the place where emotions come alive. Beautiful tales, colorful moments, and stories that touch your soul. Sit back, relax, and let your heart feel every word. Because here, every story has a heartbeat. The hospital was unusually quiet that night. The hallways were dim, and the rain outside tapped lightly against the windows like nervous fingers. Zayden lay still in the darkness, his senses sharpened from weeks of pretending he had grown used to Ayla's routines, her soft steps, her warm voice. But tonight, something felt different. The door opened slowly. Ayla stepped inside, but she wasn't her usual calm self. Her eyes were red, her breathing uneven, and her hands trembled as she reached for his. She sat beside him, gripping his cold, motionless fingers with both of hers, as if holding on to him would keep her from breaking apart. "Zayden," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I know your family hates me. They think I'm after money. They think I talk to you because I want attention or sympathy. But that's not true." Her tears fell onto the back of his hand. "The truth is," she took a shaky breath, gathering courage, "I fell for you long before this accident." Zayden's heart lurched so hard he almost reacted. She loved him. Before all of this. Before he pretended. Before he hid behind silence. Before he knew she even existed. Ayla continued softly, wiping her cheeks. "I used to admire you from afar. Not the businessman the world knows, but the man behind the quiet eyes. I saw how tired you looked every time you visited the hospital for donations or charity events. You were lonely, even then." She squeezed his hand gently. "Even now, when you can't hear me, when you won't ever answer, I still care." But Zayden could hear. Every word, every breath, every tremble. Her confession hit him harder than any betrayal ever had. His secret, meant only to protect himself, had pulled her into a dangerous web she didn't deserve to be part of. He wanted to wake up right there, to tell her he heard everything, to wipe her tears, to pull her away from the shadows closing in around them. But he couldn't. Not yet. He needed absolute proof that he needed the real enemy to slip. And fate answered sooner than expected. Footsteps, slow, careful, too careful. Ayla stiffened. Zayden forced his body to remain still. The door opened again. A voice he knew very well, a voice he had once trusted, slid into the room like a knife. Rayan, his cousin. Rayan leaned over him, thinking he was unconscious, and whispered, "Once he dies, the company is mine. The poison is slow, no one will suspect." Ayla's breath hitched. She froze in horror. Zayden felt a fire ignite inside him. His pulse raced. His muscles tensed. He wanted to leap up, to grab Rayan, to protect Ayla, but he couldn't. Not yet. If he reacted too soon, Rayan would escape. Zayden stayed still, waiting, listening, planning. For the first time since the accident, the hunter had revealed himself. Millionaire businessman Zayden Shah had survived many battles and boardrooms, but he had never imagined he would fight one lying motionless on a hospital bed. The world believed he was in a coma after a terrible car accident. Doctors whispered in low voices, nurses tiptoed around him, and his family cried dramatically beside him. But only Zayden knew the truth. He wasn't unconscious. He was pretending. A week before the accident, anonymous messages had warned him, "Your death will make someone rich." Someone inside his own company, someone he trusted, wanted him gone. The brakes of his car failed on a straight, empty road. That wasn't an accident. Zayden survived, but barely. And he understood one thing. If the killer realized he was alive, they would try again. So he made a dangerous decision. He pretended to slip into a coma, keeping his body still, slowing his breathing, never reacting, never blinking a second too soon. Doctors believed it. His enemies believed it. And that gave him one advantage: silence. Lying there, Zayden spent days listening. His business partners argued over shares and responsibilities. His greedy relatives stood by his bedside, praying he didn't suffer too long. Some employees came out of guilt, some out of curiosity, and some just to confirm he wasn't waking up. Every voice, every sentence, every hidden intention, Zayden stored it all in his mind. But the real culprit stayed invisible. No one slipped. No one confessed, and Zayden feared time was running out. His days blurred into nights. Machines beeped softly. The room smelled of disinfectant and cold metal. Sometimes, loneliness stung worse than his injuries. He wondered if anyone cared for him genuinely, or if every person around him had a hidden motive. Then, one evening, someone unexpected entered his room. Her footsteps were light, almost hesitant. She wasn't a relative, nor a business partner. When she spoke, her voice was warm, gentle, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Nurse Ayla. She didn't talk about money or shares or hospital bills. She didn't treat him like a burden or a trophy. Instead, she pulled a chair beside him and whispered, "You look lonely, even in sleep. I don't know why, but I feel like talking to you." Zayden felt something shift inside him, but he wasn't supposed to feel anything. Not guilt, not fear, definitely not comfort. But Ayla's presence, her softness, her honesty, it was the first human warmth he had felt in a long time. And he had no idea that her arrival would change everything. Nurse Ayla was unlike anyone who had stepped into Zayden Shah's hospital room, where others came with greed, calculation, or fake sympathy. She entered with a soft smile and a calm presence that filled the cold space with unexpected warmth. She became his primary caregiver, checking his vitals, adjusting his blanket, and making sure he was comfortable. Far more gentle than she needed to be with a man who was supposedly unconscious. But with Ayla, nothing felt like duty. It felt sincere. Every day, Ayla talked to him. At first, Zayden thought she was just being polite. Many nurses spoke to coma patients, giving them a sense of human presence. But Ayla's words weren't practiced or professional. They were personal. She told him about her life. How she grew up in a small house with her younger sister. How she worked double shifts to support her family. How she sometimes felt invisible in a world that only valued wealth and status. And then she confessed something that stunned even Zayden. She didn't believe the headlines about him. The news portrayed him as a cold-hearted billionaire, ruthless in business and careless with people. Ayla didn't buy it. "I don't think you're the monster they describe," she said softly while wiping his forehead. "Your eyes, they don't look cruel." Those words pierced him deeper than any injury, because she was right. Zayden wasn't cruel. He was guarded, harsh when necessary, but never heartless. Hearing someone defend him without expecting anything in return stirred something fragile inside him. Something he thought he had lost long ago. Her voice became a routine, a comfort, the only gentle sound in the sterile room filled with machines and whispers of betrayal. Zayden found himself waiting for her shifts, listening for her footsteps, feeling an ache when she left for the day. One stormy night, rain tapping against the window, she sat beside him longer than usual. Her voice trembled, as if carrying a secret too heavy for her heart. "Zayden," she whispered, her fingers brushing against his motionless hand. "I hope you wake up. I want to see the real you, the man you are behind the rumors." Her words hit him like lightning. For the first time since the accident, Zayden felt guilt. Guilt for lying, guilt for hiding, guilt for letting her pour her heart into a man she thought was helpless. And along with that guilt came something more dangerous. Attachment, a bond he never expected, a connection he wasn't prepared for. The one person in the hospital who cared for him without any agenda. And because of that, Ayla was unknowingly stepping into a world of danger. A danger Zayden had tried so hard to escape. The room fell silent the moment Rayanne's footsteps faded down the hallway. Ayla stood frozen, her breath shaking, her eyes wide with terror. The words she had just heard struck her like a lightning bolt. Poison, murder, company takeover. Everything made sense now. The accident wasn't an accident, and the man she cared for wasn't safe. She slowly turned toward Zayden, her hand hovering over his still one. "Zayden," she whispered, her voice trembling. I don't know what to do. They'll kill you. They'll kill us if they know I heard." But Zayden knew what to do. He had stayed quiet long enough. The coma, the silence, the suffering, it all ended tonight. With every ounce of strength left in him, he fought against the stillness he had forced on himself for so long. His eyelids fluttered. His fingers twitched. Ayla gasped. No, it can't be." And then it happened. He opened his eyes, slowly, painfully, but surely. Ayla's hands flew to her mouth as tears streamed down her face. She stumbled back a step in shock. "Zayden? You're awake?" she whispered, her voice breaking. He took a deep breath, his voice weak but steady, carrying both relief and emotion he could no longer hide. "Thank you for saving my life. And for telling me the truth." Ayla burst into tears, rushing to his side, holding his hand tightly as if afraid he might disappear again. Within minutes, chaos erupted. Security stormed the room. Doctors rushed in. When Ayla told them everything, and Zayden confirmed it, Ryan was caught before he could leave the hospital. He didn't resist. He knew he was finished. Cameras flashed as the news broke. The millionaire in a coma awakens and exposes an attempted murder plot. The entire city buzzed with shock. But inside the room, Zayden didn't care about the cameras or the reporters, or even the company he almost lost. His eyes were fixed only on Ayla. When the room finally quieted, he reached out, gently taking her trembling hand into his. "Ayla," he whispered, his voice full of warmth. "You stayed when everyone else left. You talked to me when I wasn't supposed to hear. You cared when no one else did." Ayla blushed, tears glistening on her cheeks as she stared into his eyes she feared she would never see open again. Zayden squeezed her hand softly. "And now, I don't want to face life without you." Ayla let out a shaky laugh, smiling through her tears, soft, relieved, overwhelmed. In that moment, Zayden realized something he had never understood before. He may have spent weeks pretending to be unconscious, but Ayla was the one who had awakened his heart. And this time, he wasn't pretending.